part of it is too whoa. Part of it is too, I think, the expectations in the household. There's a book called Freakonomics. I think that's where I read this, and they did a study to try to find out what indicators, what differences you can do to have a child succeed.
Okay.
As far as schooling and income as an adult. And some of the things were counterintuitive, like going to a magnet school. They said that going to a magnet school did not necessarily mean that you're going to perform better in life, have better outcome in life, compared to other things. Now, well, it does and it doesn't. Magnet school kids perform better than the general population. And kids who did not apply to go to magnet school perform more poorly. But those individuals who applied to magnet programs, the children of those individuals that applied to magnet programs did just as well as those kids who got into the magnet program.
Okay.
The thing is that having parents who are willing to go the extra mile to try to get their child into a magnet program, that was a determining factor. Determining factor. So having education be a priority in the house.
That's what I'm saying. It comes from the parents.
Yeah.
It comes from the home. And teachers would tell you that too.
I was raised by a teacher, so
Okay.
Yeah.
you know, whenever everybody else was outside riding bikes, well, I wasn't really an outside kid anyway. But before I could watch my shows or my movies, because that's what I was all about, you read your 10 pages in your book that day. You know, you did some multiplication tables. You did something to make sure that your brain was functioning on that level. You know. So I definitely understand.
There was also another program, Alan, I was telling you, I was, and I didn't get a chance because I had really, this is before the group ever met. I was at the library in Mechanicsville one day because I sometimes go to that one, Window Ponds. I just kind of move around. But anyway, I used to live closer to the one in Mechanicsville. Now I'm closer to the one on Ponce. But anyway, one of the ladies there, her name is Denise. I saw these, well, she was telling me about these. Oh no, they had a little poster or something about this literacy program. So I was asking her about it, and so she told me that they were going to meet on Mondays, like for 6 weeks, and what they do, I'm not sure how, I think it's through a grant, and they let it float. Their library was chosen, one of the ones, and then she said they don't know whether they'll get the next grant or whether it will move to another branch. Sure. So I think it's a continuous thing, but it's not, it changes locations. So they meet, I guess, I don't know whether these people refer to them or whether it's for adults, children, anyone. But what they do is meet with them and try to get them to check out books and recommend certain things for them. But I missed it because she gave me a flyer and I just missed it. But anyway, they're meeting a couple more times. I know I won't make this Monday. But I told her I was trying to get to one of them because I just want to kind of see what the format is. And because there is a literacy program over at Dunbar Elementary School. Have you seen that? They have a separate like wing or when they built or redid that school. And I don't know if it's set up just for adults, but it's called Literacy Center or something like that. I think it's called Adult Literacy Center.
Oh, good.
And I used to tutor a little bit, even though now I don't know whether everything is so in the computer, you know what I mean? Thinking, I don't know if I want to do that again. So anyway, I may try to go to that before they have the last one to kind of see how it's set up and where do they go from here. Yeah. And but I think this is kind of an introductory kind of thing that they try. But you remember when they had the RIF, the RIF program? I think that was wonderful. But you know, the funding ended years ago. When they would go, it was a mobile unit. They go to different neighborhoods, and the kids in there, anyone could check out books.
Right.
Yeah. And that was that part of the poverty program?
I think it was. I'm not sure.
But it ended years ago. But I remember because it's like a big old, like an RV or something. And and they would go to different neighborhoods, mainly inner city neighborhoods. Yeah. And kids could check, and like I said, adults, you could check out books, and they were all paperbacks. Yeah, but the importance of books, I just don't think that, because kids, even though everything is geared toward technology now, but you really need the books, the visuals, all the things that, the oral skills, just kids, this is one of the keys to learning how to read. Because even though they're not reading when they're 6 months old, you're reading to them. And the sounds and everything, all of these things are part of the learning and the perception and all of this. So anyway, there's just so many areas to explore, as far as what we can do.
Yeah.
But that is a real great need, the literacy. And for parents, that helps them to even teach their children. But like I said, even if you don't, they can really emphasize to them the importance of having their children go to the library and checking out books.
Yeah.
Just books. Not the.
Well, one thing I wanted to do today, two things. I wanted to go over what we have today. I did a site evaluation for the Trinity House, but you did one. I know you're working on yours this coming week. But before we do that, I did want to share something from the book, and it's called "Preparing for Pilgrimage." Basically, before you go out to do outreach, preparing. And I thought this was pretty germane. He listed 3 things that you need to do before you go out. Learning to be, 3 things. First one is learning to be present. The second one is learning to listen. And the third one is learning to notice. So that's learning to be present, learning to listen, learning to notice. And the author makes a point of when he was in grade school, they would take roll and the teacher would call out his name and he would say present. But his mind might be 1,000 miles away. He's thinking about baseball, he's thinking about this, he's doing that, and he just responded. So a lot of times we're in conversations and we respond, but we really aren't present. If we've got this stuff on our minds, whatever it might be, we're thinking about the next thing. And he's just saying when you go out on an outreach mission that you need to be fully present. And I guess everyone has a different way of becoming fully present, but I can say for myself, just starting the day off with meditation, which is one reason I like to do outreach in the morning, because there's not that much of a window between the time I'm finished praying and the time you're actually doing the event. If you, once the cares of the world start weighing you down, sometimes it's not till you go to bed at night that you can let go. So I thought that was real germane. So he makes that point. The second thing he says is learning to listen. And 2 points to that. And there are a lot of different things out there about learning active listening. He says, listen to someone, say back to them what you think you heard, and then have them confirm that, yes, that's correct. So being engaged in a conversation. But the other part of what he mentioned, when it comes to learning to listen, he says stop talking, give total attention to the one that's speaking, communicate, understanding of what is shared, which is what I just said, those 3 steps, basically. Just listen, don't try to inject, just listen, and then give them feedback once they stop talking, what you think you heard, and then have confirmation from them. Now, one thing he does do in the book, I'm talking pretty much about high-level things. He does get specific about, he's saying it in a nice way, but he says some people don't know that they talk too much, basically, that they don't listen. And he says, you may have, do you finish other people's sentences? During a conversation, are you preoccupied with your own thoughts and feelings? Do you plan your answers while others speak? Now, I do that sometimes, particularly if I'm in a debate. Because they'll be saying stuff, and I'll be thinking, okay,
I already have my
I got a point to that. I got a point to that one. We may go on to the next thing. I have a point for that one. So the interrupting thing. I can't say. I do that sometimes. But I don't think that's a bad habit. But I definitely am thinking about what they're saying and whether I agree or not. So anyway. So I have some growth opportunity there. So do I fear silence in a conversation? Now I used to, but that's one growth thing I have seen that will come. I'm a lot better about not feeling like I need to fill every moment with sound.
I'm getting there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Baby steps. Um, do I tend to jump in with my own story and to take over instead of listening? I used to do that a lot. I'm working on that. Am I often impatient while listening? I'm better than average on that, but there's still room to grow, and we all have our own place there. Do those closest to me often complain that I don't listen to them? For me, I can say that's not an issue. So I don't know that this is really like an absolute. I think we all have growth opportunities when it comes to our ability to listen and being listeners. Do that. And then learning to notice. Some of this is kind of obvious, learning to notice things. If you're fully present and you're listening, then you hopefully you're noticing things. But when he says learning to notice, he's also talking about, and maybe largely talking about, noticing God working in your life in the midst of doing outreach, noticing or hearing God speak to you while you're doing the outreach. Okay. And actually spends the most time in the book talking about that than the other 2 points. But basically, he said, while the holy, meaning God, encounters us wherever we are, God meets us especially in our interaction with those who suffer. So the same when we're engaging people who are suffering, that's when God encounters us. And we should pay attention.
And listen to him.
And listen to him, to what he's telling us. So I thought that was a good takeaway there. Yeah. So anyway, so I wanted to make those points before we got going here, and maybe just thinking off the cuff here, maybe even as a part of when we do outreach going forward, that maybe we take some of these points and some other points, because actually there's some points made here, and the Trinity House, which is the one that I did my site evaluation form on, they actually have a list of do's and don'ts when you're engaged in outreach. What they're talking about for them specifically, but they can be applied universally, I think. And maybe even just having that list with their permission, just recreating that list, and just when we go out and do outreach, say, don't do this, don't do that, and some of the things they say don't do, I've done. Like they say, well, don't give people like your phone number, stuff like that.
The people you're working with.
Yeah, the people that you're, because one thing that they pointed out, they said that, like job opportunity, and their situation is a little different. But they're saying when you come there, if you have a job opportunity, tell the coordinator about the job opportunity.
Not the people.
Not the people, the individual people, then they'll help them. And partly the reason they say that is because the Trinity House, they have different missions they do, but the core mission they have for the full-time residents is substance abuse treatment. Mm-hmm. So when you're talking to someone there, you don't know if they have different levels, and as you stay clean a certain amount of time and perform other tasks at work, you rise to a different level, you stay on a different area of the building, a different floor. So they have different floors for first, people just coming in, intermediates, and seniors. Hmm. But they're saying when you're out there serving meals to them, you don't know what level they're at. If someone still is fighting addiction, you really want to try to encapsulate them and not tempt them, into trying to find different ways. They don't give people money, things like that. So when you're out kind of independently ministering to people, I don't know that all those rules necessarily apply, but I think it's something to think about. That maybe we should have some guidelines as an organization of how we engage and how much exposure, we
The senior connection, they actually have an orientation for volunteers and a manual.
Yes, that was smart.
Yeah, because I have the manual, I haven't read through it, but I have a manual.
And maybe we should have one of those too. See, that's one thing too, when you leverage existing outreach organizations, all that's already in place. Well, it should be. Maybe not every ministry, but
it would be good for us to have a manual once we come to that point where we are.
I think so.
The do's and don'ts, I'm sure there are a lot of those, and
and document them, and I think that would be a good idea to have that. So, we're going to have we're going to be moving into a permanent structure anyway, and regardless, we should even have it now, if I'm saying, but we want to, as we formalize things, definitely make that a part of that going forward as well. So anyway, Carlene, if you want to talk about the ministry that you visited first, and then I'll share what I have.
I was telling Alan before you came on, we were just talking, that I visited, it's called the Senior Connections, and they have more than one location. I visited the one in Shamley, which is near the Peachtree Airport. And it's actually on Peach Street Industrial. It's on Peach Street Road, but it's past that area, where it becomes Peach Street Industrial. But anyway, this particular building houses the Meals on Wheels. They have, it's all part of the, they call it Senior Connection. So they have, when I did my evaluation site sheet, it includes Meals on Wheels, in-home care, home repairs, senior centers, nutrition and counseling, connections catering, which was a surprise to me. And I went online to kind of look up all of these different ones, different services, and senior raising minors program. And I thought that was really interesting.
A lot of grandmothers raising kids.
Yeah.
So
that's real.
So I didn't get any information on all of these because I was truly unaware that they had all these different programs. But my focus was, getting information on the Meal on Wheels. So I was telling Alan, one of the volunteer assistant, I think she's an assistant to the director of the volunteers, took me into the area where they actually prepare the meals, and there were a few people still there. They do most of theirs like mornings, and then by the afternoon they were everything was kind of winding down by the time I got there. But you saw the ovens, they prepare almost 3,000 meals a day.
Wow. 3,000?
Almost. I think in that particular center, I spoke with one of the persons in the kitchen, and she said it's a little over 1,000, but I think totally sometimes they have, I don't know whether certain days they have more, but if you look on the website, they have 3,000 on there. And they have obviously they're very well organized, so they have this little, I don't know if it's on a conveyor, but it's, you have all of these containers, and then they have where each one puts, I guess one person was putting, the lady that I saw, she was putting like a couple of things in the containers, and I guess the different ones put, and they have all these ovens, many of them, and they serve once, it's really a lunch meal, and based on your income, some I always thought they were free, but some of them are not. You can actually request for a small amount. You can pay privately for the meals. Okay. And some of them are subsidized, so there are different ways. They're funded through the county, mainly the CAB, and there are some fundings from Fulton, and then from the state and from the federal government. Okay. And they also have some corporate sponsors. And they do have corporations that come out sometimes and volunteer. She says sometimes like they'll have a large group from Coke, and then they're trying to figure out what to do with them because they all come in at one time.
Right.
So I guess there are different times of the year where they'll get groups coming in from companies to help them. So they prepare the meals there. Then they have people who actually deliver them. And she said normally you wouldn't have more than 4, deliveries per person. And but she said their greatest need right now is for the Meals on Wheels would be in the kitchen area, helping to put the meals together. And we basically talked about that program, but like I said, when I came back and was trying to fill out this form, I went online and saw all these other services, and I just kind of looked at some of them because I didn't even know they had a catering. So it must be a private catering, but what they do, say for example, if Impact wanted to use them for a social or something, part of that money will go to Meals on Wheels, or I don't know what percentage, but they give back, so that helps to build up their funding. Yeah. And but they actually have a menu online. Yeah. And tell you exactly what they serve and those type of things. So that was interesting. The other one I found that was interesting was the senior raising minors, and I don't know exactly how that is, how it's actually structured. We did talk about
Be
the
interesting about that.
Yes,
That
because
sounds very interesting. Yeah.
I did ask her about the home repair because I'm one of those, I love gardening, right? So nothing has to do with the
I just
gardening.
pick you out to my garden out here.
Yeah, I would. The home repair is strictly structural, like roof repair, floor repair, and that type of thing. So they have to have. Obviously, you have to meet certain criteria for that. So, and then they have an in-home care, which I'm not. I guess if someone needs to have someone there with them during the day, I don't know whether this is so much medical or health services, or whether it's just more someone sitting with someone, say for someone who's working in, or they have to go out or something and they need someone to sit with someone. So they do have that service too. But I don't, like I said, I didn't get like detailed information on that one.
Yeah, they're actually paid positions. People, that's actually a job you can do. Basically get training and get paid to be with someone during the day, during the work day. Which, well, the primary caregiver is out at work or whatever. Right. But, obviously there's a need for volunteers to do that as well, because not everybody can afford that.
Right.
Because certain types of insurance will cover it and other types won't.
Or either they have stipulations where there's a limited amount of money that they
there'll be a cap, like $100 a day or something like that, $50 a day. Yeah.
Right. So if you have to go beyond that, then you have to, comes out of pocket. So
very expensive. Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know exactly. I asked about where do they deliver, and they get a lot of referrals from people call, and you can go online to actually inquire or set up for Meals on Wheels, or maybe children or parents who need it, or either anyone. Then, they can actually do it themselves. And I don't know what I didn't click it to see what what you have to, what the requirements are.
Sure.
But it seems like it's based on income and age, and I actually got the feeling that it's not always age though, because there's some people who may be
who just can't get out.
Seniors, but anyway, so it seems to be pretty, and they seem to have, it's very well organized. It has to be. You're doing that number of meals a day. Yeah. And they've been, Meals on Wheels been around for a while.
Yeah.
Was there a time of year that was like a problem area for them? Because I know they were saying they'll have corporate volunteers come in from Coke or something, but it's all at one time. So is there one time, is there one area of time that's a little bit more like
that's a good question. I did not ask her, and then I guess she was, as we were talking, she just mentioned that as an example, because she said, I asked her what her greatest need, what was the greatest need, and that's when she said they need people in the kitchen to help prepare the meals.
Well, that's just it sounds like, and just tell me what you think, but it sounds like they, when it comes to this whole thing of one-time volunteers or long-term service, it sounds like what they really want is to have like a commitment to have someone assist in the kitchen on a regular basis.
Right.
That's what I'm hearing. Okay.
And I checked off both because obviously with groups coming in, that's more of a one-time
basis. Sure.
And I'm not even sure if they have to fill out this form and go through all of the orientation if they're coming in from the company. Because I don't know how they set. Usually those things are, even though they plan them ahead of time. And I don't know how much time they, what kind of notice they give them to let them know that, we're coming like in November. I don't know. So they probably have some prerequisites as far as companies and different. But some of the groups are going to be smaller, and like church groups, and some of them come in, and individuals. So, but she did mention sometimes they get companies that come in and want to, and they are like I said, they have quite a few, at least 7 or 8 companies, maybe more, that actually give funds, or they are one of the sponsors, and United Way is one of their sponsors too. Humana. I don't remember some of those I saw on their website. But they are getting ready to move some of the, they actually have a senior center in this particular building, but I think they're getting ready to move them out because the building was actually designed for our offices instead of just having a senior center there. But it was pretty interesting. I don't know, I think before I would decide on working in the Meals on Wheels, I'm really interested in the senior raising minor program,
Mm-hmm.
and also the nutrition and counseling.